welcome everybody to the fourth Pets as Therapy Facebook Live session. Just going to give everyone a few seconds to join. Obviously, tonight we're going to be having a chat with Hannah. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce Hannah properly. As I've said before, the beginning of these sessions is always the most trying because you want to make sure that you are actually live and not just talking to yourself. So I can confirm that we are live. Thanks for everyone that is joining us this evening. Do make sure that you like, share, and do make comments on tonight's live. And Ryan from our social media company will be answering any questions where he can, and then putting them to me and Hannah to discuss at the end of the session. So just going to give you a few more seconds to join. So first of all, let's say a big welcome to those of you that are joining us this evening. So we've got Diane Lucas, Sarah Wernham, London, Meow, down in London, Judy Banks, hi Judy, Angela Marshall, Mary Shaw, Chloe Emma, Linda Harrison, Sarah Haste, and Mary Shaw. Do make sure that you place some comments in, like, comment, and share on tonight's live. So, without further ado, good evening. Tonight, as you know, I've got Hannah joining me. Hannah is a teacher from a special educational needs school in the Northwest. So, good evening, Hannah, and thank you for joining us.
Hi.
Now, Hannah, I don't think you've done one of these sessions before, so I'm hoping that you relax into it and that you actually enjoy it. It's going to be super, super easy, and we're so pleased to have you on with us tonight. It's going to be a really nice, worthwhile chat. And actually, it's going to be the last, for a little while at least, live chat about the Read2Dogs service. So we've got a development to talk to our viewers about later. We've mentioned before why we're starting these sessions back up again, and essentially it's to try and help as many of our volunteers and prospective volunteers as possible. We're going to be covering frequently asked questions, issues that are arising from emails that we're receiving at Pat head office, and clearing up any misconceptions that people may have. So do stay tuned tonight. Towards the end of the chat, I'm going to be asking Hannah exactly why she feels that the Read2Dogs service has benefited the children at her school. As always, please do send any ideas to the email address marketing@petsastherapy.org. It helps shape future live sessions that we may well be doing. So, Hannah, are you ready to start tonight's session?
Yeah, we are.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, here we go. So the first question I had for you, Hannah, was actually if you could just tell us a little bit about your school and any additional challenges that you as a teacher face on a daily basis.
So as Matt's already said, it is a special educational needs school for primary school children, and it's actually quite a big school. We've got a number of different classes, and the children are grouped on their needs rather than just their year group. So the challenge is really, for every challenge there are 100 positives at school, and we all get the Monday blues sometimes, but we're really privileged as staff at our school. In fact, it's an honour really to have the opportunity to work with and teach the wonderful children. And yeah, there may be challenges such as finding appropriate books when we're delivering like the Read2Dogs scheme. And books that motivate them and engage them and allow them to learn in their own way. But we do always look out for books, that we can find. So there's a scheme called Project X that has more age appropriate like pictures, but the text is suited to the children, because we find that a lot of books that are suitable for their ability can come across as younger books which will then make them reluctant to read. So yeah, we're always on the lookout for books that are tailored to their interests, and any new initiatives like the Read2Dogs scheme, which has worked fantastically at school. Another challenge is, it can be difficult to keep the children's attention for a long time. But the fantastic Read2Dog team at school, they're working hard to always look for new solutions. And we find that is why Read2Dog has worked so well, because it strikes the right balance between the reading and the children's attention span, and bringing something new that seems to have worked miracles with our children. And also making sure that the children meet the targets. So as like I previously said, we always base the children's learning around their interests.
Oh, Hannah, wow, that's a really, really succinct picture that you've painted there of your school. I mean, I'm guessing that the range of needs of these children is quite varied. So some might need a lot less input than others. But I mean, and obviously you've started talking about the way that Read2Dogs can help, which we're going to talk about more later. But in terms of the challenges as a teacher, and obviously as a teaching team, is it very different in terms of each individual pupil, the way in which you have to sort of tailor your teaching to help them, or is it quite uniform for those that don't know?
So we do tailor it to the individual child. So every child that comes to our school will have an education and healthcare plan. So that's a legal document that we have to work with, and there are a set of outcomes that the children have, and then they would have a yearly annual review, and we would monitor them. But that's why we always try and tailor the children's learning and their interest towards the outcomes, so that we can achieve their outcomes, because every child, is unique, and all of their learning is based around them rather than, just a whole class.
Fantastic. Yeah. So moving forwards a little bit now, how did your school sort of first hear about pets as therapy, and what made you or them choose to actually join the charity, register with the charity, and ask for a visit?
So it's a really lovely story, really. We'd recently just moved house, and one of our lovely neighbours was talking to us, and gradually over a few weeks we were talking more, and one day they were going for a PAT test with their dog, and they were telling us about it, and how nervous they were, and things that they had to do, and we're like, oh, honestly, you'll be fine, your dog's amazing. And we were laughing about our dog at the time going forward, but we're like, oh, there's no way she can be a PAT dog, because she just is crazy.
Is this a lovely dog we can see in the background?
No, this is Freddie. So we rescued another dog prior to Freddie called Poppy, who was a chocolate lab. He was 42 kilograms when we got her, and
oh, wow.
Yeah, bless her. She'd not had it easy, and she was 13, so she was quite set in her ways. So yeah, trying to train her to be a therapy dog, I think, was one challenge too far. So our neighbour, their dog passed with flying colours, and I'd also recently just joined the school that I'm at now, and they'd been talking about in the past getting a therapy dog, and then I spoke to the senior leadership team and explained the link with our neighbour, and then I got in touch with the charity, and it was just lovely, really, because it all worked out that they could come and volunteer at our school, and it was just a really lovely link, really. So initially we started just with the therapy sessions, and then we also heard about the Read2Dog scheme, and we were really keen to try this. But obviously we only had a few face-to-face sessions, and then lockdown
Yeah,
came. But
yeah,
obviously, I think in a bit we'll talk about how we move forward with that.
indeed. Yeah. Oh well, thank you. No, that's fantastic. So okay, so we know now how you came about having the Read to Dog service, but
Mhm.
how have you and your school actually included Read to Dogs within your planning? Because obviously we mentioned that there's individualized learning plans in place for children,
Mhm.
and I'm guessing. I mean, I've got a minimal background in teaching, um, but how do you efficiently bring Read to Dogs into your planning to maximize its actual use?
Yeah, so like we were saying before, individualized learning, it's exactly what it says on the tin, really. It's just a focus on individuals rather than just a group of children in the classroom. And because the classes do have a variety of learning needs and abilities, the classes plan the child's education and outcomes around the individual and their EHCP outcomes. So, if we just focused on the class, it wouldn't meet all the children's needs. So this is why Read to Dog's really fantastic, because you can cater it around the children's individual needs and interests. The children can choose what book they use. So sometimes, we'll offer the children a variety of, say, 4 books. Or if the child enjoys making choices, we'd let them choose, from a bookshelf. It brings, we found, like the confidence up in children that haven't been confident in reading before, and also brings trust with children who are just beginning to read.
Mm.
And because it is a really flexible program, it also allows us to do it anytime. So during lockdown, we had to be really flexible by moving rooms, because say maybe one room was being cleaned for a deep clean. And this can sometimes be really tricky for our children. It's out of the routine, and it's a new environment. But every single child that's taken place in the scheme has been so motivated by our 2 pack dogs. And they're constantly, throughout the pandemic, asking when their session will be, and they've not bothered about, which room they've been in. But as well, going back to like the individualized learning, the staff have also set personal targets for the children that are taking part in the scheme, and these are also monitored every half term, so we can track the progress and see, maybe if it isn't working for a certain individual. I mean, so far we haven't had that. It's like there's been loads of progress for all of the children. And as I said previously, with our targets, they do link to the outcomes on their education and healthcare plan document. So that's also how we make it, individualized within their learning.
I think that's where I'm trying to get the answer, if you like, is the best way of is it better to integrate Read to Dogs with the other planning that you're doing already as a teacher, rather than you do your planning and then Read to Dogs is just a bolt on? In my mind, it seems better to integrate it as a
Yeah.
as a service to help support what you're already doing.
Yeah, so it would be like integrated within the children's, like say reading, sort of literacy sessions, and the class teacher. So we've got a few children in different classes, and that class teacher would make sure, the objective that they've been working on that week, say, would link to the specific Read to Dog session, and
Wow.
that then meets, with their target that they've been working on for a half term, say.
Excellent. I'm just going to grab my phone because it's been binging, and I know that that's Ryan sending me messages, which is comments from our viewers. So bear with me.
Okay.
That was very quick. So obviously, throughout the pandemic, teachers across the country have been facing some significant challenges.
Mhm.
And how do you feel that Read to Dogs has actually assisted you? Because obviously, we've got the in-person visits, which obviously had to stop as soon as we went into lockdown and subsequent lockdowns. We developed the virtual service. Can you make reference to how it was helping you before COVID hit and then during, and how you found benefit from it?
Yeah, I mean, we were really lucky that we did set up Read2Dog just before the pandemic really hit. And, you know, we did find that the Read2Dog sessions did not only help the children, and I hope I've shown, you know, that in what I said before, but it also brings joy to the team and the teachers throughout the school. You know, when the therapy dogs walked through school, it was just so lovely and everyone was just so happy and had a big smile on the face. You know, and also I'll admit it's been a really fun project for me to work on during these challenging times, and seeing the joy and, you know, the success stories of our children. And, you know, with the children as well, despite the ups and downs of lockdown, you know, we've been so lucky to have two fantastic volunteers, you know, that have worked with our school, that have helped bring some normality to the children. So, you know, lots of activities for our children have had to stop, and it's upset them, you know, confused them. But you know, the Pets as Therapy volunteers have brought a smile to our children's face each week. And as well as helping them, you know, with the reading and the confidence, it's also supported them in keeping some normality going through these really strange times. So yeah, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to the wonderful volunteers who have helped me and the children, because they have like both gone above and beyond this year, and it's been lovely for the children.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. I'm sure they'll appreciate that. And just for those of you that don't know, so Hannah's school was actually part of the original pilot for the Virtual Read2Dogs, and we've had fantastic feedback from Hannah and obviously her team. And I've seen some of the sessions, the one-to-one sessions, and it's been fascinating to watch how the children's confidence developed. Because initially it's quite a new thing, isn't it? Sort of sitting in front of a camera with another adult and a dog that they don't know, but they soon get used to it and look forward to it, as you've said. So Hannah, we've been getting some questions coming in, which is what I suspected why my phone was beeping. Now some of these are going to be for me and some might be for you. So I'm just going to go through a couple. How can parents and carers support Pets as Therapy if they don't have a therapy dog? I think this is for me. So essentially, if you're looking to support Pets as Therapy, I mean, there's a whole host of ways. Straight away in my head, this looks like obviously you can help spread awareness. So, you know, by sharing tonight's feed, promoting the website and encouraging people to have a look if that's something that they'd like to get involved with if they have a dog. And of course, you know, as a charity, we need fundraising and donations. So that's another way to support. If you value the work that the charity does, you can do that via our website, which is petsastherapy.org. I'm sure Ryan will put that in the comments feed for me. Question here from Hannah Baker. Do you find that Read2Dogs supports developing the skills for reading or motivation to read, or both? I think that's one for you, Hannah.
I would say it definitely supports both. Motivation is a massive thing, and you know, their love of reading and the confidence is definitely developed with all of our children. But also so of the skills, like we've got children that have gone up, you know, book bands, reading words by sight. So I would say, you know, it's a whole thing really, like it improves everything. And, you know, they might start reading words, you know, while they're out shopping. So, you know, in everyday sort of situations. So yeah, I would say everything really.
Fantastic. So Hannah Baker, I hope that helps answer your question. Right, I've got a longer question here, and I'm just reading the beginning of it. So Samantha Lee, my son has been diagnosed autistic and ADHD. My Shih Tzu Daisy was so good with calming him and his meltdowns. I knew she'd make a brilliant pat dog. So I wanted to give something back. Myself and Daisy attend an autism DSP, and having first-hand experience of autism, I am able to tailor visits to individual children, linking in with their TAs. So it's not a question. I think it's more of positive feedback for what we're saying works, and I think that's fantastic. That there is no iron, fixed route of how Read2Dogs can work. It's always a discussion between the volunteer team and you, the teaching professional, about what might work best for that individual child. I think that's fantastic. I haven't had any more questions pop through, and we did say to all of our fantastic viewers tonight that if they stay tuned, there was going to be another question which I had for you, Hannah, and that's, if you could summarize with some examples of how the Read2Dog service has actually benefited an individual or individuals during the pandemic, with any specific examples, that would be amazing. Obviously, you started to mention about the individualized learning and how everything gets integrated, but without any names, if there's an example that you could paint for somebody, I think that always helps to bring it to life.
Yeah, so I mean, like I've previously said, we only started the service a few weeks prior to the pandemic, so lots of our sessions have been virtual. We did luckily have a few face-to-face, but we still have so many success stories, so don't be afraid to just do virtual sessions, because they do still work. But yeah, so one child of ours was an extremely reluctant reader, and since taking part in these sessions, they've now been reenacting stories at home with puppets, toy animals that they've got. They're letting parents read books to them, at night time, in the day, story sessions, and this just would not have happened prior to Read2Dog. And another lovely part of this story is that the child's actually been reading books to their dog at home. And now, they're a very motivated reader. So that's a really lovely story. And there's another really lovely story. Another child used to always put their hands up to their face when trying to read, so it wasn't very clear, and they'd mutter lots of words, but now they don't put the hands up to their face, and the words are so much clearer. And also, if a member of staff asks them to repeat a word, they do this straight away rather than getting upset, which would have been a repeating pattern before Read2Dog. And they've also gone up a reading band within school, and their face always lights up, during and after sessions, and they always say how proud they feel of what they've done during that session, which is really lovely to hear. So yeah, there's loads of success stories that we've had, and all of our children, the concentration and enjoyment has improved, and just their love of reading. So yeah, there's loads that we could share, but obviously I don't think we've got hours and hours.
Well, I'd still like to hear them. I mean, obviously we'll talk again at some point. Just coming back to what you said about the child who had their hands coming up to their face, would that have been a confidence thing, that they were doing it because they weren't confident with what they were saying? Yeah,
so they weren't very confident, and also they find speaking quite challenging,
right.
And their speech wasn't very clear, so they were using like communication support, so like a pod book and symbols, to help them communicate. Whereas since taking part in the Read2Dog sessions, their speech has just come on leaps and bounds, and they're now speaking clearly and reading books.
Wow. Well, I'm really glad that we saved that question till last. I think that's fantastic, Hannah. I mean, I'm so pleased. And obviously, you've had the benefit of 2 volunteers. So you've had the in-person volunteer when you could do, and then you've had another volunteer who I've also had a live session with. I think she was the first person I did a live with, doing the virtual visits. So it's really great to know that there is that that consistency in delivery of the service, if you like. Thank you so much, and I want to also thank all of our other volunteers that have been partaking either in the regular Read2Dogs visits or indeed the virtual. We know virtual poses different challenges to you, the volunteer. It's a lot more difficult engagement wise with the child because you've got that physical barrier. But what we keep hearing, and what I'm pleased to hear, is that obviously, whilst it is difficult, there is still benefit. So whilst it's not a direct replacement of the in-person visits, which we all want to do because there's that, proximity to the animal, the contact, so on and so forth. There is still this benefit. So we can, regardless of the situation, if somebody's shielding or there isn't a local volunteer to the school or whatever reason there may be for not being able to get a person into the school, you still can participate in Read2Dogs. I'm tripping over my words tonight. So it's just a thank you to all of those volunteers that have taken part in this, and I'm delighted to say that the next live session is scheduled for 2 weeks' time, so Monday the 22nd of March, and it's going to be with me, and I don't know whether I'm going to have a guest yet. I've got to have a conversation with somebody, where I'll be delivering a route map for the return to visiting, which I'm really, really excited about because it's something that we've been waiting for so long. So there's a few things that have to take place, but on Monday the 22nd, I'm hoping to be able to announce what we at Pat HO envisage being the return to in-person physical visits throughout the different establishments that you volunteers give your time to go and help with. So please do set a reminder, Monday 22nd, 7:30 p.m. on Pets as Therapy Facebook page. I'll see you there. So the last thing I want to do now is just thank you again, Hannah, for your time this evening. It's been lovely to see you. You've got such a smiley, happy face. And people are going to respond. And it wasn't as painful as you thought, I don't think.
No, it was
There
fine.
you go. There you go. You're a pro. And actually, if we ever need anyone to sit on the BBC sofa, I think we should probably get you, because you've had a knack of dropping Read2Dogs into virtually every sentence that you had. You were really plugging the service. So hats off. Fantastic.
Thank you.
No, it's lovely to speak to you, and I want to say good night to you and everybody else. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you. See you soon.
Take care now. Bye.
Bye.